for Toffoli. Here comes Tyler Toffoli again. Drago through the lane. Back in. Scores! Oh, baby, what a goal! Did you see that move? Tyler Toffoli, second of the...
And after 22 years, Raymond Moore! And then Ronaldo! What a goal by Cristiano Ronaldo! Sensational!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sports Junkies podcast episode numero 7. With my my Twitter aficionado here, Franco, who's been infinitely more active than me on Twitter.
I've been going off on Twitter.
Yeah, but that's with good reason. We have a big episode today. There's a bunch of news in a bunch of different spots, especially if you're from Montreal, and especially if you're a soccer fan. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Obviously, if you
literally everything happened today.
Exactly, everything's happened this weekend. It's insane. If you already follow us on Twitter, thank you. If you already subscribe to us on YouTube, thank you. And thanks for watching this episode as well. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, because this is going to be a long one. And you might forget at the end of it. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, SJunkiesPod on Twitter. You can also find just Sports Junkies Podcast. You'll find us. We're pretty much the only ones with the name. So here we go. Let's get into it. First topic of choice. You are very, how can I say this? Very passionate about this topic. It basically the news was announced today that 12 European soccer teams or football clubs, if you're from Europe or the UK, have announced that they would like to break away from their leagues and create a super league, or what they call a super league. I don't know how super it is when the 3 teams are not even in the Champions League top 10 situation. But hey, Super League with 12 teams. I'm gonna read off the names, but Franco, tell me about what you think about it before I do that.
Yeah, well, actually, for those people that don't know this, it's kind of been talked about for the past 5 to 6 years. It's been brought up just a little bit, someone mentioned it, and then everyone's like, "Oh no, it'll never happen! It'll never happen! It'll never happen!" Every year, something new develops. So every year something new gets added, and then finally, I don't know what, but I guess
listen, COVID, yeah, exactly.
COVID, I guess, helped it a lot of all these teams losing millions and millions of dollars and trying to find a way to recoup their money. And I guess this is their solution that they found. So, in my opinion, I don't like it at all. What the hell? To me, I don't know why. Why do that? That's
I don't know. I don't know either. We're gonna get into more in-depth commentary, but let me just read for those people who haven't heard the news. If you're living under a rock, basically, 12 leading European football clubs: Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham. That's 6 teams for those of you counting in the EPL. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. That's 3 from La Liga. Juventus, AC Milan, and Inter Milan, which is 3 from Serie A, announced that they have agreed to join a new midweek competition called the European Super League. ESL is what they're going to call it. In a joint statement, the founding club said that 3 more teams are expected to join before the inaugural season.
It's Bayern,
which is expected to start as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So listen, I think it's a big sham. I think it's pretty obvious as to why they're doing it. Are there any positives out of this?
Yeah, well, it's a positive for whoever's in that 12 teams.
Yeah, I guess.
If you're one of these 12 teams, I saw on Twitter a report that ESPN put out, and it said if you accept and sign, these 12 teams that sign, they're gonna get allocated $425 million to their team. They get a check to spend to buy new players, improve stadium, literally whatever they want. Okay, and this is without TV right money. Imagine the money that they're gonna get,
and then eventually without stadium costs, without jersey sales, without any of the competition.
We're talking about probably trillions of dollars.
Trillions, I don't know. Trillions,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Billions
for sure. No, but
I don't know if you can say it true. That'd be, I guess, if any sport could do it,
it's soccer.
Probably be soccer.
Yeah.
But I mean, billions for sure.
Yeah,
Like, there's no
billions for
questions
sure.
asked. I mean, just 12 teams getting $450 million is
Crazy.
right there. You're talking about $6 billion. So, you know what? I could definitely see $100 billion, but I don't know if I could say a trillion. Trillion's crazy. Trillion's like a big country, bro. Like
Yeah.
trillion's like like the U.S. has 17 trillion in GDP. Like that's like 1/17 of the U.S. economy would be just in this one super league. Unreal.
Wild, huh? No, it's just, to me, it's a,
I think it's a money grab.
it's what it
I think
is.
a lot of
It's money,
former
greed. Now it's all greed.
Yeah,
It's all
I think
greed. It's all discuss, but that's not what soccer is all about. Like, to me, soccer is the joy of the game, right? The way it's played, the way the players play. It's not about money. I don't give a shit if, that's why I love underdog stories in soccer. I find
like
I
the Leicester
love
City,
it. Like a Leicester City winning Premier League. Everyone loved it. Right? Everyone loved it.
And now you're talking about a team that like wouldn't be able to, like, it wouldn't even survive if this Super League happens, because you're talking about the 6 basically highest grossing teams in the EPL, and you're talking about them just basically leaving and not giving any money to the league, it's kind of like people maybe are like, oh, it's great, I get to see great soccer, right? Every week. I get to see the world's best every week. That's the only positive that I can think about. But even then, it's kind of a negative, because you think about the trickle-down effects, about the chain reactions, about each league, right? You're talking about the 3 biggest teams in La Liga. You're talking about the 3 biggest teams in Serie A, and you're talking about the 6 biggest teams in EPL.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking about millions and millions, maybe over billion people that watch these leagues on a weekly basis, right? Collectively.
Yeah.
And you're talking about these people not tuning in to watch West Ham. You're not tuning in to watch Chievo. You're not tuning in to watch I don't know, any other Spanish team that maybe isn't the quality or the history of Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And Barcelona. I don't want to say.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to offend anybody in the whole Real Madrid, Barcelona talk, history and whatever. But you know what I mean. It's just like you're talking about teams that aren't going to be able to afford to have academy systems. Yeah. You're gonna be talking about teams that aren't going to be able to afford stadiums, aren't going to be able to afford paying their staffs. You're not going to be able to afford all these things, which means that the league is going to end up crumbling. Which means that the lower divisions are going to end up crumbling. Which means who the hell is going to have any? Who the hell is going to have any academy? I mean, you're talking about now. Like, think about how many people are watching Serie B. First of all, in general,
it's not a lot of maybe people in Italy.
But that's what I'm saying. And now think about what happens if they're not allowed to have fans anymore. Think about what happens when they're not gonna be promoted to a bigger. There's a motivation to finish in the top 3 because then you get to play against Milan. Then you get the revenue share. And you get all these things, and you can buy new players. Maybe you can improve your team, but this is literally just literally the rug that's holding everybody in place. It's pretty much pulling it out.
It's pretty much the richer teams will get richer, and the poor will get even more poor.
It's like the biggest. It's like the biggest social commentary ever, man. It's like literally how
pretty much
we've been complaining about for a long time.
In soccer, you have the rich, you have the middle class, and then you have the poor people. The middle class and poor people are gonna get fucked hard, and they won't exist. You have those 1%. That's pretty much it. 12 teams. That's your 1%, and then the rest is your people that survive. Like, I would say, like a Leicester City, they're middle class. A West Ham, middle class. They have good teams year on year. Like West Ham,
like a Napoli would probably be okay.
Napoli, Atalanta.
Yeah.
Who had Champions League football this
season, exactly. Who had good teams, who had good. They've had history. They're able to get funding. They're able to get all these things.
They're good teams.
In Spain, honestly, I don't follow Spain as much. That's why I have trouble.
There's Valencia.
That's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. That's like
maybe a bit
Bilbao, maybe.
Atletico Bilbao, them two. They're in Europe.
Like those are like a little
Villarreal, even Villarreal's in Europe too.
So there's a couple that maybe would survive, right?
Yeah.
But then you're like...
Yeah, but now you're taking away all the top teams, right? Now, like, I'll give you an example. Like, the Zone, they have TV rights. They show every Champions League and Europa League game. It's a monthly subscription, and it's soccer or any other sport they have.
It's a lot of other sports too.
And why would they host Premier League games, right? Without Manchester United, without Man City, without Arsenal, without Liverpool? Why would they show those games to people when there's this new league, the Super League, every week that's showing the best teams week in, week out?
Yeah,
they're gonna take their money out of the Premier League and they're gonna go put it into the Super League, and that's what everyone's gonna do
because they know advertisers are gonna want it too.
And these small clubs are gonna get left with nothing.
Yeah, but there's a goal. Bo Horvat just won it for Vancouver.
Yes,
in overtime. Sorry, guys, we got distracted. Wow, what a game back for Vancouver.
Toronto. They just lost to a team that half the team was shitting their pants 2 weeks ago. What a joke.
24 days without playing hockey.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Wow. and let me tell you, that's pretty much 3 games in a row that Jack Campbell doesn't look like all-star Jack Campbell.
Oh God.
I can't wait to see what he's going to say after the game. Anyway, we'll get back to this. Sorry about that, folks, for the interruption. But to get back to the soccer part, I mean, again, listen, I'm a Milan fan, right? You're a Juventus fan.
Yeah.
As much as we love when they play against, Manchester City and United, as much as we love when they play against Barcelona.
I love when they play against some like Benevento. I love when
what's
they play
the point? Like, what's the point at that point? It just, I don't know. To me, it doesn't. I understand that it's feasible now, with transport and
But this is to replace the Champions League. That's what they want to do.
Essentially, but it's always the same 15 teams or always the same 12 teams.
It changes a lot. It changes.
No, but I'm saying the Super League.
Oh yes, it's going to be those 12 teams, and you cannot.
And that's it.
Leave. You won't get.
There's no relegation. There's no
regulation.
There's no other trophies that you could be available for. There's no other competition. There's nothing. It's that.
But
that's it.
But I'm telling you, like UEFA and FIFA, they're gonna put up a pretty nasty fight. Like they're gonna shoot.
Already there are some rumors. Go ahead. You know them more than me.
They're threatening all clubs that participate and players that if this happens and gets together and there's participation, all players will be banned from their domestic league and international
competition.
Yeah, competitions.
Which means no World Cup, which means no Euro.
Let's say this gets finalized in the next coming months.
No Olympics.
The Euro coming up. No, it's going to be pretty much Italy's B team. Every nation's going to have a B team.
Yeah.
So those players, like now let's say you're a top player like I don't know, like Mbappe, right?
Yeah.
They tell you can't go to the Euros. Well, what the hell? You're gonna lose your shit.
I mean,
that's a stage where you can increase your value.
The question is, to what extent are they going to be paying the players? Almost like a bribe, right? In a sense that, listen, we're going to pay you this much money.
Yeah, we'll pay you double.
Not to leave.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're going to have, as much as, this is another thing we could talk about in the next, 5 minutes, let's say, because I don't want to spend the whole 50 minutes on this, even though it's the biggest story of the week.
Yeah.
The question is, do people follow their teams? Right? Now I haven't been following Milan this year at all.
Okay.
I like almost at all. Okay. I watch highlights here and there. I see who's on the team. I got a couple friends that follow them on Twitter. I see what's going on. But if you ask me, how we're doing, how we're performing, don't even know where we are in the table this year. As opposed to, let's say, 3-4 years ago when I was really paying attention and we had some good, kind of upcoming players, even though we were shit. I liked watching the game and whatever, right? So now the question is, does a casual fan, let's say like me,
yes,
even though I love the game of soccer, does the casual fan
will be interested?
Are they going to want to go in the Super League? Like, are they want to watch Milan versus Juventus and Milan versus Barcelona and Milan versus Real Madrid and Milan versus Manchester United every week?
Yeah.
And also, are the hardcore fans of Milan who literally follow every single minute, every single game, like my grandfather, is he gonna want to watch? Like,
yeah,
I highly doubt he's gonna watch. He's gonna
No,
want to watch.
oh,
Something like
he's
this.
gonna be against it because
Right?
he was brought up in a.
Like my
in Go-
grandfather was head of the AC Milan club in Montreal for the longest time, bro. Like when I like the president of the club. Okay, this guy's legendary for being that. Okay, for those of you who don't know him, that's who he is. Mr. Giuseppe Teresi was the man when it came to AC Milan in Montreal. But now, obviously he's older. He doesn't do that anymore. They still ask him to go to the Milan club events and whatever. Once in a while, he used to go
Cool.
right before COVID, right? But now it's like, why would he watch? What's the point?
It's disgusting to see the
What's
club
the point?
take that direction, right? Especially
Mhm.
like I'll give you an example. Like Liverpool, they have a slogan: "Is "You'll never walk alone." It's they're pretty much saying that like we're always behind our fans. It's a very like fan based club.
Yeah,
And
it's
now
almost like Green Bay. Like
yeah,
Green Bay, the
yeah,
Packers. Like it's very
literally it's
It's almost
built
the
by the
same
fans.
situation. Yeah.
So now to come out and say this that we're gonna join a Super League to get more money and blah 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 and all this stuff, it's like you're pretty much turning around and stabbing your fans in the back and saying no, screw you. After all these years of dedication and they stood by you, and now you're gonna just
And the fact that you've been pretty much garbage for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't want to say they were garbage, but listen, if you're an Arsenal fan, pretty sure you
Oh,
can
yeah,
agree with the fact that basically since like Ari left, like
yeah, well,
how
they've
good
been
have
pretty bad.
how good have they been, right? Like,
Yeah, they haven't been too good. But like it's funny because I'm gonna go back to saying people's opinions. Like we did a poll
yeah,
on our
exactly.
Twitter page.
I'll share
And
it.
so far it's like 83% of people are not too happy with here it is. 83% of people are not too happy with what's going on.
Yeah,
I don't blame them.
Our option was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Ban everyone. Fuck it, just ban everyone.
Just screw them, everyone.
But in a sense, I'm also someone who would vote in that direction. I think you would too. So you can
100%.
You can increase the 83 to probably to probably more than that.
If this actually goes through, like I don't think I won't follow Juventus anymore. I'll like be very disappointed.
And listen, to people who don't know Franco, that's like saying something because
intense.
this guy
Yeah,
has like flags in it. Has flags in his room, has cards, has little trophies, mementos. Like this guy's a Juve fan through and through from the beginning. So it's coming from somebody like that to say, but I just,
No, to me, it's mind blowing. It's such a disrespect.
Like I understand that clubs are struggling, right? But instead of thinking about it like, okay, let's help everybody, let's bring the game of soccer to whatever. I think the influence of, let's say, foreign ownership, right, that don't necessarily have that tie.
Yes, but that's a big play because
right?
most of the team owners are
owned by guys with oil money. Really, it's basically who they're owned by.
Don't care about soccer.
Investors,
about
entrepreneurs. Yeah, like you look about Liverpool. Are they still owned by Gillette? They used to be owned by Gillette. I'm not sure if they still.
Well, I know, like, what is it? Man City, and Man City is owned by some random.
I think they're either Saudis or they're
yes. Or Chelsea's owned by a Russian billionaire.
Yeah, like that. Like that's what it is, right?
Care. So he just throws.
So a lot of these people, exactly. You're thinking like these are not people that necessarily. I don't want to like
hate on them, but like
but I don't want to say that they don't understand soccer. They don't understand the traditions because maybe they do. Maybe that was the original reason they got into it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably people that at the end of the day, it's their dollar, right? It's their 200 million that they lost. This year. You know what I mean?
That I understand.
But if me and you lost $200 million, what do you think of? How do you?
Yeah.
Right. So you have to think about how these people think in life, also, versus how they think in soccer. Like to a certain extent, I don't care. Like I'm losing $200 million.
To me, I think they're business oriented first before anything.
Exactly. So I think that's really where it comes from. Now, is it right? Nah, I honestly don't think so. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
Want to move on to more soccer?
Let's go more soccer.
Just
the Impact
quick.
This weekend.
Yeah.
Sorry. They're not called the Impact anymore, guys.
No, to me they're called the Impact.
They're called CF Club de Foot Montréal.
So the Impact played this weekend. They're not the Club de Foot. I mean, they're the Impact. That's it. Stupid name.
I think I'm gonna cut that up and put that somewhere.
We're
They're called the
keeping
Club
that.
de Foot.
Yeah, yeah.
No, they're called the yeah. So the
No,
Impact. Like,
they're called the Impact. Anyway, so the Impact played, and so for the people that don't know me, I am again an Impact fan because they're from Montreal. Obviously, I gotta support my local teams here. So a big Montreal Impact fan. And after this whole summer that happened, they changed their logo, they rebranded. I was like, what the hell? I was like, this
they
is
lost
so
the coach.
stupid. Yeah, but no, but I understand why he left.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's
no, I
like it's like a year and a half. He doesn't see his family. They're in England, and he has to go another year and a half not seeing them. I
It's
don't think I would be
difficult.
able to.
Plus, you think of the fact that he could probably do better than half the guys that
Yeah.
are playing because
Yeah.
he's a legend.
So he's like, you know what? I had enough. I'm gonna go back in England. Anyways, then seeing of all these new players that the Impact brought in, like 10 new players. We brought in 10 new faces and we kicked out 8 players. So it's a big change. A lot of people did not have any hopes for the Impact. A lot of people was putting them, like experts on the MLS, were putting them to the bottom. So finishing literally at the bottom. They played Toronto FC
of the table.
Yeah,
like the whole table, not just the bottom
So
of like one division.
they played Toronto FC, and for some crazy reason, we kicked their ass 4-2. It's a wild game.
And ladies
Wild
and gentlemen, we're sitting in first place.
Yeah. Whoa. So that pretty much shocked me. I did not see this one coming, but like, you know what?
And Toronto FC is almost always a contender.
Yeah, always
right?
a contender.
Just I mean, you know, Jose Altidore.
He wasn't playing, so
he wasn't playing. But I'm saying like just the aura, let's say, around the team, they still have guys that can play, right?
Yeah. Bradley was there.
Obviously, Bradley's there too. Who else is somebody that I remember being, you know, like a player.
Those are the only 2 guys I know.
Like a player. Anyway, either way, they have some national team players, like U.S. national team, you know, Canadian national team. Osorio's not bad as well. Anyway, they have some firepower, and they were supposed to be one of the better teams in the league, from what I understood anyway.
Yes.
So pretty funny.
Got a surprised win. So let's hopefully we can keep it going.
Listen, soccer's a kind of game that, you know, much like hockey, that, you know, anybody can win any night.
Soccer, I would say it's
a little bit. Well,
yeah, a little bit
I'd
less.
say maybe here in North America, it's closer to the NHL. In Europe, I understand because the money is more involved.
Yes.
You know, it's more like baseball, and like the richest teams always win, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is why Leicester was tying this back to Leicester. That's why Leicester was like a crazy thing, because you know,
they weren't
obviously
supposed
not even. Yeah, they weren't they in the.
They were in the second division,
league,
and then they came up, and then
division.
2 years later they won. Yeah, it's crazy.
Good for the Impact. So good for CF Montreal.
Let's keep it going,
and we'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Listen, I'm not the biggest MLS watcher. I used to go to a ton of games back in the day.
I like to see the old players. That's why.
You know that too. There. We used to go to a bunch of games. But you know, since you know, obviously since COVID and whatever, I you know, just different sports, different things, right? I've concentrated on different things. Golf, F1, and hockey pretty much are the 3 that I follow, like, you know, on a daily basis, kind of thing. But speaking of F1, speaking of TV rights, big news. And speaking of Montreal again, for a second year in a row, the F1 race has been canceled here in Montreal, postponed. I do not believe it's going to be rescheduled in this season.
No, we lost it for this year again.
And from what the reports are, anyway, I think it's yet to be confirmed, but it's pretty sure that it's going to happen. It's actually moving down to Miami.
For this year?
For this, yeah. So this race, I believe, is actually going to go.
It said it. I saw the post said it was starting from 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
I understood it was this year. So let's
could be.
Let me just see if I can clarify it. 2 seconds.
I saw it on Instagram.
Miami F1. Oops.
Here. It says starting in 2022, F1 has signed a 10-year deal to race at the circle around Miami icon Hard Rock Stadium.
Hard Rock Stadium.
It's pretty. I like the idea. That's like literally, it's a track around the football stadium.
Yeah, it's cool.
crazy.
I mean, I think it's a cool idea, but now I just don't know if. I understood it was being replaced. Is what I understood. But I guess I'm wrong, right?
I don't know. I'm not.
I know for sure it's canceled, but I didn't.
Yes,
know
I don't think.
I thought my. So what is this talk with Miami
for next year?
But they're just announcing that that's the situation.
Yeah, that they're going there next year.
Interesting. Okay, so I misunderstood the situation.
What I'm understanding is that Montreal's out and Miami's in. This is what I'm understanding.
Like a straight 1-for-1 swap. So basically, what I've been reading actually is that there's a good chance that they're that they're going to be kind of dangling, the race in front of us and being like,
if you don't
don't do what we say, don't do what we want, don't spend the extra $6 million, which is apparently the requested amount from the F1.
Yeah, what they want to.
Apparently they're going to be like, hey, that's it. The problem is, though, in my opinion, like, it's one of the most popular races on the calendar.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of viewership, in terms of revenue, first of all, it's pretty much essential to the Quebec. Like, we're not even talking about Canada.
Yeah. Well,
but if
Montreal,
you're somebody who lives in Montreal and in Quebec, it's pretty much essential. Brings in millions, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Crazy.
Literally, probably hundreds of millions of dollars.
We witness what it does.
And it's an event that first of all brings everybody out.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you're an F1 fan or not, whether you go to the race or not, people are out in the streets. People are spending money. People are having a good time. There's artists that come. There's celebrities that come. There's sports figures that come. There's people that spend money in our nightlife. There's people that spend money at our restaurants, especially our restaurants.
Hotels.
There's people that spend money in our restaurants, in our hotels, I mean. And there's people that spend money in our local economy.
Yeah.
And so that for Montreal alone is massive.
Big boost.
And then you talk about the advertising, the TV rights.
It's crazy. Money, man.
If you talk about the Canadian Grand Prix, RDS, which is the French, channel, French
version of
sports
TSN.
channel, TSN or ESPN.
Yeah.
I guess for those of you, if we happen to have any viewers from the US, RDS is the French version for those of you who live in Quebec. Or outside of Quebec, I mean, that basically broadcasts pretty much all sports.
Yeah.
And so they show 200 hours of F1 content for Grand Prix, like for the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So you think about that, the Canadian Grand Prix itself, the length of the whole situation is probably like between 4 and 5 hours that they have coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And then the qualifying sessions and then the practice sessions, if you consider all that, it probably comes out to something like 20 hours. Okay. So the fact that they're showing 200 hours, that means leading up to it. That means during, that means different channels that are showing different things because they have two, RDS is RDS.
Yeah.
RDS2, RDS Info, whatever it's called. And so they're showing tons and tons and tons of content.
Yeah.
And it's because people love it. Right.
It's it's big here. It's like pretty much we could say like we're a part of F1.
Yeah, so this is a Forbes article, okay, that I'm going to show everybody. Obviously, you guys can read, but I'll read it out loud for those of you maybe if you're not able to see the screen or you're just listening and not seeing, or if you're visually impaired and you're listening to us. Here you go. I'm going to read it to you. Basically, there's a report that was done back in 2016 that concludes that cumulatively there were 17.9 million F1 viewers in Canada last year, representing 1.2% of the last year, as in 2015.
Yeah.
Representing the 1.2% share of the global 1.5 billion total. So there's 1.5 billion people that watch F1. Wow. You have to understand that as well, which is pretty much puts it in like the top 3 conversation in the world in terms of sports.
Yeah.
Okay. Like literally, that's how big it is. Okay. And it has a higher audience total than Belgium, which is massive for F1. Also, China, Japan, and Russia. Like you're talking about some big places. And so if you continue reading, perhaps the clearest display of the power of the Canadian market, which let me remind you has only 30-something million people in it.
Yeah, we're not a big
country. We're not a massively populated country. You think about Italy; they got 66 million people. That's twice the amount that we have, right?
Yeah.
And the US is 10 times the amount of people that we have.
Yeah.
So the clearest display of the power of the Canadian market is seen by looking at the global cumulative audience of its home race. Okay, this is the Canadian Grand Prix. This shows that in 2015 Grand Prix, had 90.5 million cumulative viewers worldwide.
Wow.
6% of the total. Of all of F1, 6% was just for the Canadian Grand Prix. So there was 20-something races, I believe, at that time. So we represent more than the average, like way more than the average. The average would be about 4%. So we're at least 2% higher than the average. So it also has far higher viewership than the average for all the races. Basically for all the races, right? The average was about 80 million and we had 90.5. So it's 10 million higher than the average, like I was saying. And it made it the third most popular in the whole calendar. Okay? The Bahrain Grand Prix and the US Grand Prix. And the US Grand Prix is probably only because of the sheer number of people that live in the US.
Yeah. Obviously.
Right? Which I understand why they would move to Miami, because put a second race there, Austin and Miami.
It's a big market. It's a
huge market. 360 million people, basically. 350 million people. So even if like 1% of those people watch, right, you're talking about like 30 million people. Just those people. Then you're not thinking about the actual F1 fans, right? So the fact that we're a top 3 race destination in terms of cumulative viewership for a country with a fraction of the population as everybody else, that shows how important, in my opinion, that this race is. Now, there's also a whole history behind the race in Montreal, right? Around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, around everything that has to do with this city and this race, that also contributes to. Listen, I'm not gonna say it's like, Sao Paulo. It's maybe it's not like, it's not Monaco.
Yeah,
but like
it's not like.
But at the same time, we
have history. It's not like
it's a pretty historic event, and it'd be a freaking shame not to have it there.
No, it'd be sad. Like, even coming from my end, where I'm not a big F1 fan.
Exactly.
But
man, do you benefit from it?
Yeah.
Right, on F1 weekend. For those of you who don't know, Franco's been a nightclub promoter for a couple of years now. Yeah. And F1 weekend, without a doubt, is the weekend that he makes the most money, because it's just so easy to get people out, right?
Yeah.
Because people are out and about, and they want to go out and they want to do these things because there's so much happening in the city. There's so much foreign money.
There's so many things to do. Like, when I think of F1 weekend, I think of Crescent Street, when they close the whole street and it's just a bunch of cars. You get to see these crazy cars, and if you get a chance to go to actual race, go to like the qualifying, the pre-qualifying, maybe see the cars,
just seeing the cars is unbelievable. Man.
It's just a cool experience that like not many people around the world get to have that experience and get to say that my city gets to host that.
Host one of only 20, right? One of only 20, 22, 19, depending on the season.
And now there's talk saying that it might get ripped away from us, and it's just so like depressing to see that.
It's actually a depressing thing.
Like, come on, like we've been through enough now with this freaking COVID and everything. Now you're gonna start ripping like stuff that we actually like to enjoy and to do away from us, like
and that actually contributes in a sense to the economy and to us being able to do a lot of things. And because you think about it from an economic standpoint, in terms of like, I studied economics, so I sometimes I think about things a little bit in those terms. You're talking about foreign money, right? With all the people that travel here, with all the people that whatever.
Yeah.
All the advertisers,
outside money,
right? All the outside money that comes into our economy and then is able to circulate and multiply, and us putting it, right. So you're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars that we wouldn't have otherwise. And it's not like it literally directly impacts our economy. Like, it's insane how much it actually directly
it's crazy.
I'd be curious to see the numbers on these 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
What our numbers would be.
Oh, we're for sure.
They'll probably be a bit. Yeah, we'll probably be a bit skewed in terms of like numbers, just because like obviously COVID, ridiculous. But it'd be interesting to see the amount of GDP difference or whatever that in Quebec that the race would actually make, right? Mm-hmm. I'll see if I can get that for some point. But
yeah, that'll be cool. We'll post it on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. We'll post it on our Twitter if I can find something anyway. And before we kind of move on, I guess I'll just cover Mo Khan's tweets there that I was showing you before, and Joey Alfieri, 2 guys from TSN 690 here in Montreal. And so for those of you who don't know, that's also our pretty much local sports radio station for English speakers. And then we'll kind of just move on quickly to the race, and then we can get to Patrick Barlow and all that stuff, hinting at stuff that's coming. So basically, Mo Khan was saying, the F1's going to be like saying, listen, if you wanna have the Grand Prix in June, which is a big thing for us because we don't want
Yeah.
to have it later in the summer.
No, because we have things.
Potentially
other
with
things.
with lower viewership and all that stuff. June, like literally middle of June's high season in Montreal.
Yeah.
Like it's like the perfect time for everybody to be out, and it's perfect time for other people to come in and enjoy Montreal for everything that it offers, aside from the snow, right? Aside from hockey, aside from the winter sports that we're known for. It's like the busiest weekend of the year, bar none.
Yeah.
Like Grand Prix weekend is bigger than if the Canadiens would be playing in a Stanley Cup final. I'm telling you right now, that's how big F1 is in Montreal. I'm telling you right now.
That's pushing
outside money, amount of sponsorships.
Yeah, I know in that end.
Everything. That's how big it is. It's bigger than that.
Okay, 20.
Now,
we
in
haven't
terms
been
of
there
listen, we haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, there are millions more people that follow F1 that follow the Montreal Canadiens.
I know
right?
what you mean. I know what
So
you mean.
it's for how big we think it would be for the Canadiens to be in the Cup final. Like the F1 brings more money and brings more people and brings more hype. Like maybe the hype is a little bit whatever, but worldwide definitely brings more hype.
No, I get what you're saying.
Everybody loves the Canadian Grand Prix. The drivers love the Canadian Grand Prix. The engineers love the Grand Prix. The manufacturers love the Grand Prix. There's no reason for it not to be here. So I think, like Mokan was saying, they're gonna have to step up. There's an upcoming election here in Montreal, and
I hope.
And if Kader
whoever gets elected,
exactly, it's basically between Plante and Kader right now. Plante is more of a I don't know, more of a I don't know how to describe her, but she's
she's just special.
No, but I don't even want to get political. I just want to be like, that's not maybe on the forefront of her mind, right? In terms of events, in terms of making Montreal whatever. She's maybe more, make Montreal
green,
green, and make it this and make it that,
bike
whatever.
paths,
right? Versus Denis Kader, when he was already in power.
Yeah.
As much as people accuse him of this, that, and the other, corruption and whatever. I mean, point to me a politician who's not corrupt, but whatever. We'll kind of we'll pass over that point, right? But in terms of how metropolitan, in terms of how popular, in terms of how vibrant the city was under him, I believe it's like, I mean, I know COVID didn't help Plante, but she's been in for a couple of years. So she had time before COVID to kind of figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kader just had more of a presence. I mean, he used to be at Impact Games.
Yeah.
Right? He used to be ringing the gold bell.
Yeah, I remember.
Like this guy was hype man number one for Montreal. Yeah. Like he was huge for Montreal. Like he was, he was like he was the Drake of Toronto. For Montreal, man. He was everywhere. He was always everywhere. And this is a political figure. He's the mayor. He's massive. So somebody like that would be way more willing, in my opinion, and also in Mokan's opinion, as he was talking about in the tweet, to say, yeah, fuck it, we'll do whatever we need to do. Just bring the race here, right? They'll make the concessions. They'll spend the extra money.
Yeah.
Whatever, because they're gonna recoup it anyway. I mean, it's just a massive event.
Easy.
Right? So what's $5 million more when you're gonna be bringing in $200 million? Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't.
Well, by next year, for sure, people are gonna be allowed to spectate. Yeah. People are allowed to fly in, hoping it.
Yeah. And so the only one thing that I would say is also kind of as a counterpoint is what Joey Alfieri said, also from 690, basically saying he's fed up with the race being dangled in front of him. Like, hey, we're going to take it away from you because it's been done before, right?
Just secure it and that's it.
He's saying it's an important race in the F1, and it's kind of bullshit that the F1 is going to just dangle it around.
Yeah,
right?
I think he's saying they're not respecting us.
Yeah, basically it's like an act of disrespect to say, hey, we're going to pull the race because of all the history, because of all the money, because of all the viewership it gets.
Well, we have right.
We're talking about even on a regular whatever. In 2015, it happened to be the top 3. I wasn't able to find anything more recent. But even if we were in the top 5 of viewership, that's massive.
Yeah,
for the F1.
Sure, easy.
And now you also talk about the fact that you have 2 drivers who are Canadian in the F1. Dude, there's only 20 drivers in the F1.
Yeah. And we have
20 drivers, and we have 2 of them.
That's crazy.
And they were both born in Montreal. So you think about you think about what the impact of the race being in Montreal, what it brings eventually to the F1. But it's 2 very marketable people.
Yeah.
Right. So in Latifi and in Stroll.
Yeah.
So as much as Latifi isn't on a winning team, let's say, I mean, Stroll's got some podiums.
Yeah,
Does he have a podium?
Aston
He had a
Martin.
podium,
Yeah,
right?
he finished third one
He finished
time.
third, and he's pretty much exciting every race.
He's a young kid too. He's young. He's
young,
not old.
so he'll be there for a while. So the
Yeah.
impacts of this are like very, very big, and so I don't think it can be overlooked. I think it should be here, and we're gonna move on to the race. Just 2 seconds, because
quick. We're at 39 minutes already.
Yeah, so that's perfect. So basically, if you were watching the F1 this weekend, pretty exciting race.
Yeah, quite a bit of action.
Yeah, crash at the beginning between Bottas and Russell. Well, at the beginning, I don't even know what lap it was. Kind of midway. Yeah.
Hamilton too went off midway.
Hamilton going off because of the wet, obviously, because of the it was slippery, because of the rain, and just a battle all the way around. Like everyone was just shuffling positions, safety car, pit stops, changing noses. It was just insane. There's a bunch of things that happened, but I guess I'll focus on Mercedes, Ferrari,
Red Bull won.
And Red Bull. Verstappen won. He had a great beginning of the race and then just held it. I mean, that was I don't want to say too much else because it's going to take too much time. But Verstappen is easily one of the most talented drivers in the F1. He's very aggressive, in my opinion. He's arguably dangerous at times, but he is without a doubt one of the most talented drivers in F1. If not, you can make an argument the most talented. But between him and basically Hamilton dropped to something like 16th.
No, he went down to like 8th, 10th when he.
No, but I think he had to. Didn't he have to pit?
I don't know. When I watched
because they all went through the pits. Anyway, I believe he ended up in like 15th or something like that.
Yeah, but he climbed his way back.
And he climbed his way back up because the car, first of all, is unreal, and I mean Hamilton is also a great driver. So basically, he climbed his way all the way back up to 2.
Yeah, but there wasn't.
And he started on pole.
Yeah.
So he went from pole position first to like basically 15, and then basically back up to second, and finished on the podium. And obviously the reason it was actually his own fault. The incident. I mean, his own fault. I mean, he was wet. He was wet and he lost control. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't somebody hit him or anything. He ran off the track. It's the first time it's happened in a long time. The last time it happened also, it was in the wet. So you can kind of get a sense that maybe he's not as comfortable in the wet as he is in the dry, but that's anybody really. So he managed to get back in, change his nose. They did the safety car. He was down into, like I said, I think into the 15th place-ish area, and then climbed his way all the way back up. So that was massive for him. Bottas, like I said, crashed with Russell, so he was out of the race midway. And then the McLaren drivers is actually who I wanted to highlight. Lando Norris, who finished third with a very, very, very solid performance. He made his soft compound tires last a fucking long time. And I really thought there was a point where Charles Leclerc was actually right behind him, probably within 0.6 seconds, which is enough for DRS, obviously, within a second. And there was one corner that he, kind of had him, but he got away from him and defended very well. Got passed by Hamilton afterwards because he was just on a tear, I guess, and the car is unreal.
Flying.
And so he finished third behind Hamilton and behind Verstappen. And then Carlos Sainz, who also finished, he's a Ferrari driver, for those of you who don't follow. Ferrari driver who started, I believe, in 11th or 12th, and finished 5th. He went from P12, I believe, to P5, which is a very good improvement. And Charles Leclerc, who stayed in 4th. So those of you who follow Ferrari, solid weekend. I think it could have been a little bit better. I think if Leclerc had a chance to pass Norris to get into third place, I think there was a chance that he ran away with third place because there might not have been enough time for Hamilton to also pass Norris and then also pass Leclerc. So if there was that in that points when he was 0.6 seconds away, Hamilton was about 2 seconds away, and so if he had made that move and got there, he would have probably stayed ahead of Norris and probably would have stayed ahead of Hamilton too because Norris would have fought Hamilton, right, and they would have slowed down. So that was kind of his only chance to finish third. I think we lack a bit of pace. I think Ferrari lacks a bit of pace in the car. But that's okay. I mean, 4th and 5th is as much as
I'll take it
with a car like that, right? So so that's that weekend in F1. And like I said, just hope we get the race here back soon.
I really do.
So yeah, let's completely switch gears.
We'll finish off with some hockey a little bit.
With some hockey, because I know
Yeah.
that's the vast majority of our fans here. I'm gonna pull up the other poll, but you can if you want to, I guess, comment on the. I don't know if you watched at all the game, the Toronto game tonight versus Vancouver.
I watched a bit of it. I had it on here.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about
Yeah, so
Vancouver's situation?
So Vancouver pretty much got their whole team got COVID.
Yeah,
they were out for 2 weeks without doing anything.
Yeah, basically 14 days without doing absolutely anything at all.
2 weeks sitting at home on the couch,
collecting dust,
doing nothing. All of a sudden, boom, back to action, boys. You're playing Toronto, first game back. Oh boy. I would be shitting my pants, oh, here we go, 6-1, 7. We're gonna get cracked. You know what? And good for them. They put up a good fight. With also a bunch, they got I think a couple of call-ups, 4 or 5 call-ups. They had.
Yeah, they had a couple guys from the AHL in the lineup tonight too.
Alexander Edler, who's pretty much logs a good 20 to 23 minutes a game, got kicked out of the second period for a knee-on-knee collision.
Yeah.
So they were all with 5 defensemen, brought it into overtime and took the win. 3-2 against Ottawa. Bo Horvat, what a way, captain, to win it. Wow.
Unbelievable. 24 days without an NHL game, 14 days without an NHL practice, and still missing about 4 or 5 players from the team, from the roster.
And they're still on
Toronto, with the full roster, pretty much, for the first time in about 2-3 weeks since Nylander and Matthews were kind of banged up.
Yeah, little bruises.
That didn't make sense.
No, they had little bruises.
Little bruises. They had little bruises on their toes.
Their Band-Aid had to come off.
That's me. No, they were injured for whatever it was, and they had a full team.
Yeah, and they still lost.
And just still couldn't get the win. So it's interesting because as a goalie, I really, we've spoken about this before. I really liked Jack Campbell when he came into the league, drafted 11th overall by Dallas in 2010 or 11, I believe. And I was really, really high on him. I said, this guy's got the potential to be another Carey Price kind of thing.
Yeah, good goalie, yeah.
And really, I really, really thought that it was basically him and Gibson, like I always say. Those are the 2 guys that I really thought could have been coming in at the same time that were very, very solid goaltenders.
Yeah.
Just didn't pan out. I mean, Jack Campbell was kind of all over the place. Now he comes to Toronto and kind of rejuvenates his career, I guess, at 29. Helps that you got a team in front of you.
Exactly.
As opposed to LA.
Towards the end, they had no team there. Well, now.
So basically, he breaks the NHL record for most consecutive wins by a goalie.
Yeah,
right? 11. Now they were split in 2 because he got injured.
He was hurt and then he came back. So to me, I don't.
So to me, it's a little bit of because it's not like he played 12 in a row and won, right? Whereas Carey Price, who had the record,
10.
Yes, I'm a Carey Price fan. He had 10, and he basically won 10 in 12 games because he played 10 in 12 games. Something like that. He didn't, as far as I know, he didn't have a break in between, or didn't have a very big break in between. I believe that was also his best in a season.
14, 15.
Yeah. So I don't think it stands as the same record. Now, is it impressive? Yeah, of course. I mean, being 11-1 even is impressive, right? So, for a goalie. But now it's been basically 3 games in a row, where he, lets in 1 or 2 squeakers. Not that he plays poorly,
no,
but he lets in 1 or 2 squeakers here or there.
Where
and then after the game, he gets interviewed, and he just
himself.
Shits all over himself, man.
It's hilarious.
So as a goal, I mean, it's funny to a certain extent, but I think that's probably part of the reason he wasn't able to be consistent in the NHL.
I think he overthinks it.
Like, how can you be that hard on yourself? First of all, you got an OT win in Edmonton, and he's like, yeah, I played horribly. We shouldn't have won this game. I played horribly.
When I heard that, I was like,
won. What do you mean?
Imagine your teammates hear
that. You can say something like, hey, there were a couple that, and I'm glad we pulled out the win because,
I'm glad the guys in front of me, they battled and they got the win.
But man, he just flat on himself. I played horrible. We didn't deserve to win. I should have whatever and da-da-da. It was just like, wow. And then he loses to Montreal and was like, no, it's my fault. And he had 32 shots against.
It was a 1-goal game.
3.
It was a 1-goal game.
Right? And and they weren't bad goals necessarily. So I think he needs to work on the in between the ears a little bit.
Yeah, people like even like reporters were saying it. Like, look, I don't mind you being your toughest
Yeah.
critic,
Yeah,
but like not
not
every
publicly.
single loss. Dude, every
So-
single loss he comes out, yeah, it's my fault. I play like shit. Should have
He's
never won
like-
that game.
He's like the opposite of Carey Price
Whoa.
in the way he
Yeah.
interacts with the media.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Carey Price, you
Very
know,
calm
like
and mellow.
anybody who knows him, anybody who knows him as like a person or whatever that's ever come out and said anything, says that he is the hardest critic of himself. Says that he puts in the work every single day. That his work ethic is unbelievable and whatever, and that he knows when he's playing poorly, and he knows that it's up to him and his to step up his game. But to the media, it's
he doesn't show it, and like
it's 10-word answers, right?
Yeah,
it's
I don't mind that.
And so when you think about that, it's like people think he doesn't care.
He doesn't care, yeah.
Right? So it's like the complete opposite. It's like Jack Campbell's like way too hard on himself, and Carey's just like seems like he doesn't care.
Doesn't care.
Where both guys probably care the same amount, right?
Mm-hmm. They show it in different ways.
They show it in different ways, right? So I don't know. I think Jack's got to calm down a little bit. I mean, he does hold an NHL record, and
take a chill pill, bro.
That as much as it could be beaten. I mean, 11 games in a row is 11 games in a row for a goalie.
It's not easy, man.
So
in NHL, especially in this age.
Yeah, so where anybody can win on any night. So I don't know. Very, very, very strange situation. We'll see what happens. I mean, they did get some insurance with David Riddick.
Yeah.
Still don't know how to pronounce his name, poor guy. I mean,
Riddick.
We'll figure it out by the end of this. But yeah, so the last thing I guess I want to touch on is another poll that we had that we never ended up covering. You put this one out April 15th.
My favorite poll. I'm so happy we got so many people that think the same way.
We got about 20 votes on this one. Okay, so we don't have a big Twitter following, but 18 people voted on this one. So do you think Jonathan Drouin has to sit out for a game to give him a wake up call? Okay.
Oh, I don't know what they're waiting for.
Now 83% of people said yeah, they probably should, including myself. I think I actually voted for my account. I actually said yes. And for those of you who've been following the podcast at all, I pretty much defended Drouin. I guess maybe 80% of the time I defend his
beginning of the season. He wasn't
actions, right?
It wasn't bad. Look, it wasn't bad at the beginning of the season. Why? It's because we were winning, and other people were picking up his slack.
And he was producing.
He was producing too, but now
in terms of points,
yeah. But now Gallagher is gone. That's a big hole to fill.
I mean,
right?
That's 20 goals.
So I don't expect him to score 20 goals. I expect him is to pick up the offensive slack. You've been brought in to create offense, to create scoring chances. I don't care if you don't score. Just do something.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, the French media has always defended him.
But now they're getting on his back, which I like.
But on Antichambre,
my God, they're on him 24/7.
Mario Tremblay, I just discount anything he says because he gave.
He's funny. He's funny.
First of all, listen. If anybody's gonna say anything, I listen. I respect the fact that he played the NHL. I respect the fact that he coached. I respect the fact that he won. I respect the fact he's gonna Stanley Cup win. Whatever. I don't even know. Is he in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Mario Tremblay in the Hall of Fame?
Probably.
Whatever. Whatever. I respect the fact that he's a hockey personality and all the stuff he's accomplished. But let me tell you, when he gets on TV, first of all, whoever does his makeup, guy looks like a corpse. First of all. Okay? First of all, looks like he's in a casket and he's made up like he's died. Okay? First, so they gotta change whoever the makeup artist is.
Leave the poor guy alone.
Second of all, I discount anything he says in terms of hockey, whatever, in the modern era because he literally gave away the best goalie of all time for nothing.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. Look, whatever. It happened. It happened.
Listen, it happened.
I
just discount a lot of what he says because a lot of what he says just has to do with he's had so many takes of we need more French people playing on the Montreal. Like that's not gonna help your goddamn team.
Every Quebecer on RDS they say that.
But it's not gonna help your goddamn team. I don't care what anybody says.
He's from the old generation. Just leave him, man.
Listen, the point is...
It's like our grandparents when they talk. We just let them talk. We don't listen to them. Yeah, you're... Okay, no, you're right. You're right. Don't worry. Yeah. But truly, no, we don't see eye to eye.
Basically, the point was about Drouin. Okay? He's been hard on him, but I believe it was Vincent D'Anfous who I
Vincent?
also take whatever.
Don't worry about him.
Listen, he got 99 points as a Canadian, so I can't really tell him anything because he's better at hockey than I was. But he was like, he actually had a good take in the sense that, Claude Julien set out Tatar, who's been a leading scorer for 3 seasons basically in a row, aside from the season that Domi was. He's been a leading scorer. He's been, arguably one of the better offensive generators on our team.
Well,
and he sat out.
Lately,
right?
he's been on
he
fire.
he sat out. What's to say that Drouin can't sit out? Like, who is he that he can't sit out?
I know why. It's because there's a click, right? Now, Dominic Ducharme and Jonathan Drouin, they go back in junior days. Oh, when Drouin was a little boy and they helped him. Yeah. So now he can't sit out his best friend. He can't.
Yeah, but it's not like he was sitting out under Julien either last year when he wasn't producing. I don't think he hasn't been healthy scratch.
Never.
So
I think that's what we need. And I don't know if
the problem is I don't think scratching him is going to make him
apparently we can't
produce, right?
Apparently we're not allowed. Apparently we can't.
Yeah, there's something about rules on how many call-ups and how many things we can do. So
there's no salary cap.
I do have to look at it.
You have only one transfer left.
Yeah, but I don't know if that has to do with scratching players. So I have to figure that out. But I don't see a reason as to why he can't be scratched.
So you're telling me now, this is what the coach is telling me. The team that we see on the ice, that's the formation we have to go with until someone gets hurt.
Or until Gallagher comes back. Now, listen, if you ask me...
You know why? I think the contracts of Gustafsson and John Meyer. I
love that you said John Mayer twice, 2 weeks in a row. We got the singer, John Mayer.
I can't pronounce his name.
Merrill.
Yes, Merrill.
Yeah, it's a hard name.
I think their contracts are already added in, so that's why it's we're pretty much at cap and we can't move.
Yeah, the cap I understand, because it's different this year. I think it's calculated every day, the cap. So that's why we move players. We used to move players so often in terms of the cap. Now, I don't know. Listen, all the moves he made is gearing up for the playoffs, right? Like I mentioned it last week. Assuming we play 500, we're making the playoffs. So unless we go like on an 0-9 run, which is possible, right?
Yeah, we've done
unless
it
we go on like an 0-9 or 0-8 or 0-4-3 run or something like that, we should be fine. Because if we stay 500 in points, Calgary has to go like 11-2 or something.
Yeah.
So, and all those wins have to come against us. Basically, that's the idea, right? So if we win games against Calgary, it's pretty much over.
Well, we have two coming up this weekend.
The problem is at the beginning of the year with this team on paper, I thought we were easily the third best team, and if not the second or maybe even first best team if our goalies performed, right? If our goalies performed, right? Which I mean,
they have another
conversation.
No, but they have.
They haven't been bad. That's the thing. We haven't lost because of our goalies.
There's not one game that I'm like, oh yeah, we lost this.
I mean, Carey has had maybe one or two.
A couple of but the team in front of him don't provide sometimes the offense and don't provide the defensive coverage that is needed.
Yeah,
that results to goals.
So we haven't been, like I said, we haven't been losing because of goaltending, right? That's the idea.
Look, I had them battling with Toronto for first.
Yeah, 100%.
I thought we were
honestly. I thought Winnipeg was the third best. I thought we were second, and I thought
because I don't like the defense
because of the offensive.
Winnipeg's defense. I didn't like it, but they've had a big. They surprised everyone with the defense. They actually held in.
I think so too.
And I guess that's the shock.
Hey, it is what it is. How many minutes are we at? I feel like we're
an hour.
Yeah. So let's wrap this one up. We got to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I don't have anything left on the list. So once again, those of you who joined us this week and join us every week, thank you very much. We're very humbled by your presence here at the Sports Junkies podcast.
Yes.
And if you want to follow us on Twitter, mostly Franco because this guy tweets.
Yeah, I'm on
nobody's
Twitter.
Business. S Junkies Pod is the handle, and you can find the Sports Junkies podcast. So don't forget to subscribe before you go. And once again, guys, thank you for joining us. We'll be back.
Yes, thank you. Next week. We'll be back next week.
All right. See you later, Frank.
Ciao.
Ciao.